Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mad Skills Motocross 3 YouTube channel. Today, we're in jam number 237 for the multiplayer jam mode, and we're going to be going over the 2 tracks that are active this week. The point of this series is to go through the top replays for each of the jam tracks and kind of just pick apart the runs, see what the top guys are doing, whether it's line choice, technique that they have in game, like how they're positioning their body, the way that they're hitting jumps. Basically, I just want to give you guys anything and everything you can to try and improve your times and bump up on the leaderboards just a bit. So anything we can do in that regard, that's what we're here for. So let's hop into the replays. It looks like ZSE743, who is a previous champ, and if you're going to take notes from anybody, it's arguably this is the guy. He's one of the top dudes, has been for a very long time. So let's watch his run real quick, and then I'll get into it. All right, now let's go back to the beginning here. There are a few things that I want to highlight. So obviously simple scrub here, and of course getting your front wheel over the face of the jump to conserve that forward momentum. Basic stuff. And now this is where the line choice comes into play, because whenever you're going through this first lap, you're going to be tempted to, think, okay, how can I hit that ramp? However, that's not the fast line. So you're going to want to make sure that you're hitting it just like he does, going over, landing in the divot, and jumping all the way over the ramp onto the top. Now, if you were to land farther into this little divot, it would kill all your momentum, and you wouldn't be on the right line that you needed to hit for this. And basically, everything that you're doing in this game line-wise is setting yourself up for the next obstacle. So it does take a few times. You're not going to get it right on the first run. You kind of have to go and do a little scout run first so you can see what the obstacles are. That way you know how to prepare for them and how to set up. So, if you were to land in this divot, then you would probably double and land in that divot, double there, and then you would be landing right here, and it would just get you all out of whack for the rhythm. You wouldn't be hitting the right obstacles. So making sure you hit that flat spot right there. And of course, as always, and Zach's super good about it, ZSE is, the way that he keeps his front wheel over the faces so that it's not killing his forward momentum, and then of course utilizing the whip scrub as well. It's a deadly combo, and for stuff like this that's super steep and kills all that forward momentum and tosses you super high in the air, that technique is extremely important. And this right here too, anytime there's sand in this game, you're gonna either want to avoid it completely like we do here, or make sure that you're wheeling all the way through it, because if your front wheel even touches the sand, you're going basically half the speed. You're going extremely slow. So in an effort to avoid that sand, Zach scrubs the top of this here so he can land on the flat and get a little preload to avoid that sand. So that is a critical part of his run. That's kind of just a little nuanced thing. Now on the second lap here, you'll see it's a little bit of a different rhythm. And since he does have more forward momentum than he would coming off of the start, he's able to jump from here all the way over, whereas off the start, you weren't able to do that. And so since he has all that forward momentum, hitting this ramp is actually the line, because he can jump all the way over. And again, not land in that little divot right there. And then from there, it's really all the same stuff. Keeping your front wheel over, using that whip scrub, making sure you're not hitting the sand, and bringing it in for a flawless run. Well, not quite flawless. I'm sure that there's some room for improvement there. There always is. They always find room for improvement. But That is track 1. So let's hop on over to track 2. All right, guys, track 2 here is radio, and it's looking like Zach is top on this track as well. So let's hop into the replay and see what he does. Wow, what a run. Let's go back to the beginning here. So this run was an insane amount of bike control, as you saw, staying on that back wheel, getting that front wheel over, and making sure basically, I mean, he was basically wheeling the whole time. So first big thing here, line choice wise, as I was saying for the first track, you're always wanting to set yourself up for that next obstacle. Now, I'm sure first run, you're probably coming through and you're thinking, oh, triple, triple, triple. But as you can see here, the fast line is to actually do a little scrub and slow your speed a little bit so that you can actually land on top of that table and conserve that forward momentum. And that is one of the big lines here. And then, of course, just the crazy amount of bike control, wheeling all the way through the straightaway and coming into this whoop section. Now, this is a subtle thing, as I was saying at the beginning, with body positioning. Now, going into these whoops, if you're coming into it with a wheelie, there's an interesting balance that you have to keep. You don't want to be leaning back the whole time. You kind of want to trick the bike into thinking that you're going to lean forward. That way, whenever you do then lean back again, you've got that first set of whoops to kind of stop the bike from going too far back. And so you'll see right here, see how he leans forward, right? And it kind of sets that front wheel down. And then you start leaning back again so that your bike glides on the rear wheel along the top of those whoops and resists the urge for that front end to come down. So it's an art, and it takes, honestly, a lot of practice. But if there's one thing you can practice for whoops and a way to be fast through the whoops, it is that. Kind of go into them, looping out a little bit, lean forward, make the bike think that you're going to set it down, and then as you're about to hit the next whoops, lean back again. Now, this next obstacle with this sand wall, again, it's more of the same. You're setting yourself up for the right obstacles. So he carries enough momentum here to get all the way over this jump, land on the downside. And I mean, this advanced move here, he lands on a wheelie because he knows if he were to land front wheel down right here, he would kind of compress on this little roller that's in the middle, and it would kill his momentum going over that face. And I mean, he wasn't hurting on distance to get over the wall, but like I said, forward momentum is key here. And so landing on that rear wheel to get your front wheel over that tiny roller is just one of those nuanced things that might save him 1/100th of a second. And when you get down to that nitty gritty top level of the game, that 1/100th of a second can be the difference between, honestly, first and fifth. So, but again, setting up, jumping all the way over so that he can hit that and jump over the sand wall. And then massive talent, wheeling, getting his front wheel over the faces, scrubbing a little bit, jumping over, doing a triple. And this is kind of the same thing here. So you would be tempted to do a little scrub and land on top of that and do a step on, step off. But then you wouldn't be able to slow down enough to land this little double here clean. And so you would be landing like right here. And what that would do is that would give you less drive going into these massive whoops. And if he didn't have enough drive, he wouldn't be able to triple in like this so that he can get that bounce to stay on top. So it really is just having that hindsight to know, okay, I need to downside this jump so that I've got the run that I need in order to get the drive through the whoops and carry the momentum all the way through them because if you were to do that double and not have the drive going through the whoops, it would probably slow you down so much that you would end up doubling through the whoops or just bouncing your way through them, which is obviously not the fast way to do it. So there you have it, everybody. There are your top 2 runs currently for jam number 237. And this was tracks Uphill Struggle and Radio, both by yours truly, ZSE 743. And man, he's a GOAT, really good at the game. And if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to take notes off anybody, it is definitely that guy. So thank you guys for joining. If you enjoyed the video and you learned something, feel free to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. What was your favorite part? What do you think was the hardest part of Zach's runs on these tracks this week? Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.